Thanks for joining us once again for your update from the city of New Hope. Each week we try to bring you up to date of what's happening and what's coming up as we record this on December 16th. Time to welcome in the mayor, Kathi Hemken. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. I think it's warming up. I think winter's over.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. And there's some people that would love to use some outdoor rinks, and we'll get to that in a few minutes, that will love a little colder temperature out there. A lot to talk about in the city of New Hope today. Let's begin with scattered site housing under community development. And you've got a property on 54th in Wisconsin that you wanted to mention to residents.
So staff went out to visit the property, and it looked like a good site for our scattered site housing program. So we made an offer to the owner who is contemplating that. In the meantime, the EDA has to approve that offer, and they will do that, I imagine, next month when they meet. So after that, if in fact he does take the offer, this is a demolition and rebuild on this one. There's an awful lot of activity going on with the scattered site right on that block. So we're kind of excited to have another house.
Very good. And let's move over a block to 54th in Virginia. Tell us about those two properties there. What's the latest update?
Well, the one by Don A. Homes, they own the lot, but we have not seen a building schedule. They haven't asked for a permit yet, so that's coming. And the other one on Virginia, they've actually poured the basement. So that should be, they should be framing that up probably the next week or two. And once it's framed up and they can be inside, they'll be making some progress on that. So that one, I think they're going to work on all winter.
Final note is 8024 50th. What is the update there? Some great progress moving ahead.
Oh, that one's getting framed in. It's so fun. If you go by every other day, it looks like tons of work has been done. But that outside framing really goes up quick, and they get that all insulated. And it's the inside stuff that seems like it takes forever.
Exactly. Community development also very involved in the business community. And we want to mention the next business networking group. When is that going to take place and what's the topic?
It's January 8th, and the topic is what's going to be at New Hope City Hall. And the guy that's hosting it, he does 360-degree photos of either your place of business or your home if you're selling, or maybe if you just want to have a pretty picture of your home. You do not have to be a business owner. Now, this is Crystal and New Hope joined together. You don't have to be a business owner. If you just want to come, see what's happening, see what little businesses are around in our community, you're always welcome. So that's 2:00 on the 8th of January.
Speaking of businesses, a few new businesses coming to town. Introduce those new businesses to us.
So when a new business comes, they have to get a business occupancy certificate. And we do that because we want to know where the business is, what they're doing. We also want to be able to do inspections on the building inside to make sure they have all the proper stuff. So the two that are coming now are National Flooring Contractors at 3440 Wind Park Drive. So they'll have a small warehouse and a showroom there. What they do is refinish and install in residential and in businesses. They install flooring. So that's a new business that's coming. The other one is an insurance agency called Plymouth Agency. They're going to be at 8711 Bass Lake Road in Suite 106. So just another new business coming in New Hope.
Yeah, stop and say hello, check out what they have to offer. Final note under community development, let's talk about permits and inspections. Some big numbers here from the recent months.
I don't know how they do this, but they do. So last month, 370 inspections or permits were issued. And of that, 67 were either building, they were building permits, which amounted to $2 million with the permits. So every time we add $1 million like that to our tax base, really does help to keep everybody's taxes just a little bit lower. So we appreciate when these building permits come across our desk.
Now let's head to the police department. A few updates here of things they're doing besides being out on the streets and keeping the community safe. Meals on Wheels. A new person got into the Meals on Wheels fund this week.
They did. This is our community service officer, and he delivered the Meals on Wheels this last time. But these kids or these guys go out in full uniform, delivering to the homeless, or not the homeless, to the people that need meals.
Right.
So it's really fun to watch them go. And it's all part of the community engagement that they're doing.
That is great. And let's talk a little bit about toys and food and coats. The department has been busy helping people in need and partnering with other organizations. Let's first talk a little bit about toys. Tell us some of the toy fun they've had recently.
Well, there's a family, the Eisenbergs. Actually, Mike's on the city council with me. He has a yearly toy fest, and they collected over 500 toys. And those toys were picked up by the police chief and the administrative specialist and delivered to Near, so that they gave those toys away at the Crystal Community Center last weekend. So again, not only involved in our community, but involved in other communities as well. And the reason we use Near is because they're actually the food shelf that we use for the north part of the city, 42nd and North.
Right.
And 42nd and South is Prism. So that's why this goes to Near.
Let's also talk about coats. They're participating in a drive, and part of the drive has something to do with a former Minnesota Twin. Tell us more about that.
Oh, the things we learned. What can I say?
Right.
So the coat drive, they want new or slightly used coats. You know, the kids outgrow these coats so fast. And rather than just throwing them out, donate them to the police department. So they collect all these coats and then they give them to the Salvation Army, who then distributes them to people that need them. So not only do we need kids' coats, we need adult coats too. So I found out there's something called the Justin
Morneau, right.
I said that right? He has this traveling bat trophy. It's actually a bat, and it goes to the city that collects the most coats. So the coat drive is going on until the 31st of December. I'm sorry, the 19th of December.
Right.
So get those coats in so that we can get them out to people that need them. It's going to get cold, I'm sure.
That's great. What a great effort there. Final note in the police department, something called the Student Safety Summit. Tell us a little bit more about this, which had a lot of people from New Hope Police there.
Well, it had my police chief, my two captains, and two sergeants were at this. And basically what it is these, they get a group of kids from the high school who are on stage, and they're talking about what they need and what they want to feel safe in school. Well, of course, it's important that my police officers are there. And they listen to these kids. They bring that back to the school resource officers, make sure that they know exactly what those kids are expecting. We want kids to be safe in school, and who better to tell us how to keep them safe than the kids themselves? So it's really important that our police staff get to these community events when they can.
Let's jump ahead to Public Works and our update this week. And we begin with what we mentioned earlier, those ice rinks outside. How are they doing?
So if I put ice in a dish and put it outside, it freezes, it melts, it freezes, it melts. So what they told me is as they put the water down and it's cold, as it sinks into the ground, it helps to make a base. And even though it gets a little warmer like it is now, that water doesn't necessarily melt. Maybe the surface does, but underneath doesn't. So they're busily trying to get those ice rinks ready. They tell me they go out a couple times a day to spray a thin layer of ice, and they just keep doing that. Now, it's kind of warm today. Today's Monday. It's supposed to get a little cooler later in the week, and they'll be out getting those ready. They really want to get them ready by Christmas time so the kids can be out there skating.
Let's hope they can get that done. They also are ready for snow removal, but this past weekend, it really wasn't snow that was the trick. It was all of that ice that was in the air and kind of a mix of everything. But they have ways to treat for that. Is that correct?
They do. You know, we get a memo from our street guy who says the team is ready, which tells me that they're either on call, they're at home, and they're on call. So he makes the decision whether or not to plow, depending on how much we get. When there's this icy rain, snow, sleet, they want to put down a chemical that helps that sleet turn into just plain water. Now, it washes off, of course, but we want to keep the streets as safe as we can. We don't know from hour to hour what we're really going to get. So those guys were out there doing what they do. So my little angels were out there checking sump pumps, making sure that they're working. Apparently, if you call, they'll come out and check the sump pumps. So for them, this is kind of the off season. So they're out there sharpening blades and doing all the stuff that they really don't have time to do once it snows. everything has to be ready. They're so proud to take those new named snowplows out, and they really look cute when they're in the street. So one of these days we'll have enough snow to actually plow it.
That's right. Get the Star Wars crew out there. One final note in Public Works, they're doing some interviewing, I understand. Give us an update on that process.
Well, we're hiring a new maintenance worker in Public Works. So they did the interviews, and then they have to do a background check, and then they kind of do a second interview with them. I think they have a preferred candidate. Don't know for positive. I haven't heard that they've actually offered the job yet, but that's coming soon. So we should have a new maintenance worker on board pretty quick.
All right, let's jump over to Park and Rec, and we'll continue to talk about interviewing. Tell us about some of the interviewing that's happening there around the farmers market comeback.
Well, as I said before, we're trying to bring the farmers market back. We haven't definitely decided on the date. We know that it won't be Saturday or Sunday. It will be during the week and probably like 3 to 7. We're not sure of the place yet. We're still working on that, but we need a coordinator. And so we got quite a few applicants actually, and they're interviewing these applicants, and then they'll pick one, and then of course they'll do a background check, and then they'll get that person started on the stuff they have to do. It seems early for the farmers market to be doing that, but you have to get in touch with the vendors. And since we haven't had a farmers market for a while, it's almost like we've got to get new vendors out there because those vendors have committed to other places already.
Right.
So they'll be busy trying to get those vendors. I'm sure they'll have some food vendors like they always do. We're hoping to have a food truck or two like we have before.
Good.
And we're hoping to have some craft vendors. So again, I'm so glad the farmers market is getting started again. I'll probably go even.
Very good. All right, more to come on that as it moves along. Also in Park and Rec, may seem like the wrong time of the year, but the city forester is busy. Tell us about some of the work along Boone and some other areas of the city that are happening right now.
Well, this emerald ash borer has really made his job quite secure. He's been very, very busy. So this week, he's got most of the trees, the dead ash trees on the boulevard on Boone down, but there's still a few left to do. And then they're going to go into Northwood Park and take down the hazardous trees. I think all of the emerald ash trees are down, but there were some trees that had died and they're hazardous. So those have to come down. Everything has a priority. So he has to do what's important first and then get to the other ones. They're done planting, so you won't get any new trees planted yet this year. It's just too cold. It's too hard to get them established. So that'll start in the spring. We'll try to get everything down that we can. We don't take those trees down. If they're small, we do, but most of them are bigger, so we have to hire that out. And the forester is the person that coordinates getting the company in to take that tree down. And as you can imagine, the tree guys are busy. So it's hard to get somebody to take them down. And they're trying to do the emergency ones first where they have to. So if your tree is dead and it didn't get taken down on the boulevard, it will. We can't do them all at once.
Right. It is a process. You had some guests at the last council meeting that had hockey on their minds and also donations on their minds. Tell us about that fun event.
So our ice arena hosts the youth hockey, and they're quite a large group. And every year they make a donation to us. This year they came in and they donated $5,000 just to operations of the ice arena. Since they've been doing this, they've donated a total of $71,000 to our ice arena. So the other thing they did, they also gave us some money so they could support the movies and skate at the ice arena on the 30th of December. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So they are just a really good partner with us, and we like having them as a partner. Now, the third thing that happened at the ice arena, we had a weight room that hadn't been used much lately. It's just kind of been sitting there. Well, we've rented that out to somebody, and they're going to do some hockey. I don't know what they call it when they shoot the puck into the net. Stick training. That's what they call it.
Very good.
So they'll do some stick training in this room, and we actually get revenue for renting this room out. So anything we can do to keep that ice arena functioning.
All right. And another place in Park and Rec that's still functioning, even though it's off season, is a golf course, which you see behind the mayor. But people are using that clubhouse on a pretty regular basis right now, aren't they?
Yeah. So Saturday and Sunday, both days, there was family gatherings at the clubhouse. And then on Wednesday of this week, there's an apartment complex in the southern part of the city, and they're going to use it for like their board meeting. And just have people keep in mind that we're going to have winter golf again in January if we get snow. I don't know what the date is. It's kind of flexible, but if you haven't done it, it's really fun.
Yes.
You take your golf club and they give you a tennis ball, which bounces off the piles of snow, and you just have to get it within a big hoop at the end. You don't get cold. And then afterwards, you go on the patio and cook s'mores or go inside and drink hot chocolate.
That sounds very fun. We'll keep people up to date on that happening. Let's go over to the ice arena. A few more updates there. As always, opportunities for the public to go and skate. Remind us of those times.
So on Fridays from 6:30 to 8, it's open for open skating. And then on Sundays, they open from 6 to 8. Whoops, I'm sorry, that's the wrong time on that one.
4 to 6.
4 to 6 on Sundays. So after that, the Adult Hockey League is starting to play their games at 7:15 on Saturdays. So if you want to go watch a hockey game that doesn't cost you a fortune to get in, this is the time to go see that. So of course the little ones are practicing and playing their games, and the high school kids are there. Now, I don't have the schedule for the high school kids, but CCX does. And so you can look either on CCX and watch it that way, or go onto our website and see when the game is, and then actually go and watch the game. They're actually fun to watch, but bring your mittens because it's a nice arena and it's inside and it's chilly.
Also, make sure you look at the building when you walk up to it and walk inside, because they have been busy decorating. We have a few pictures of it here. Tell us about the fun in the visual sense that's at the ice arena. There's
a lot of people that go in and out of that ice arena. And one of the guys that works there is really into the decorating. And so on some free time he puts up wreaths and he fixes the planters in front. He also grows a bunch of plants in the back where there's some light. And he donates those plants to the plant sale at the golf course.
Nice.
So it all kind of works. So a couple of things that are happening at the ice arena. On the 20th of December, you can skate with Santa. And the time of that is 6:30 to 8. So you can rent skates if you don't have them, or bring your skates. There's a cost for that. I don't know what it is, but it isn't extremely high. And then on the 30th is that movie and the skate. So they'll be skating from 10:30 to 11:45. And I do know that costs $6. And then the movie is free. The movie is going to be Despicable Me 4. And that movie is what was sponsored by the youth hockey. So you can just come for the movie if you want and not skate, or if you wish to skate, bring your skates or rent skates. And if they're dull, you can even have them sharpened there.
Very good. All right. Sounds like some good indoor fun. We do have a little bit of outdoor fun too to mention, but it's all dependent on snow. Tell us again about the Snowman Snow Sculpture Contest and what people need to know.
So the Citizens Advisory Commission came up with this a few years ago, and they changed. It was a snowman contest, but they changed that because some people just like to make a snow structure of some sort. So if it ever snows again, gather up the snow, make something, name it, and send the photo into City Hall. So you can do that by going online to Park and Rec, and then the snow structure snowman contest. And we've extended that to the 31st of March, because we figured out it snows a lot more in March than it does in December.
Exactly.
So but have something in mind what you're going to do, and then do it. So there's a few other things we haven't talked about. We've got the Tri-City Santa Parade.
Right.
That was a week ago. And what that was all the police cars and the fire engines and then some other police vehicles were going around Robbinsdale and then Crystal and then New Hope. So with a friend who was sitting at Northwood Park waiting for it to come and waiting for it to come and waiting for it to come, we finally decided we'd go find it. So we drove around and we found it, and it was just driving right past us. We were on the other side of the street. So then we scurried back over to Northwood Park so we could see it a second time. But it's very loud, very noisy, and it's just fun. The kids love to see the sirens and the lights and the fire trucks just all going by. And of course, there's Santa. And somebody told me the Grinch was handcuffed in the back seat of one of the police cars. But I didn't see him. But maybe he was just ducking down.
Yeah, it was a fun event.
It was a fun event. The other thing that's happening is we have commissions in the city. We have a Human Rights Commission and a Citizens Advisory Commission.
Right.
Both of them are looking for a new commissioner. They are volunteer jobs. You can go online and to newhopemn.gov/boards and commissions, and the application is there. Fill out the application, get it back to City Hall, and they'll be doing interviews. I'm afraid to say I won't be doing the interviews, but the new mayor and council will be doing the new interviews for those positions.
Very good. Also, about the website, let's just mention one other thing that's featured there. And again, it's newhopemn.gov, and that is winter weather reminders. Tell us what this is. There's lots of information, I understand, in that part of the website.
Well, there is. I was going to write it all down, but there was too much to write down. So obviously, when it snows, you have to get that car off the street because the snow plows, they don't want to, but they end up plowing that in, and it makes it way more work. So put it in your garage, put it in your driveway, just get it off the street so we don't have to do that. And in some cases, they're actually towing those cars, and you really don't want that to happen. So, they can't plow and lift the plow up when they go by your driveway, I'm sorry to say. So they're probably going to put snow in your driveway, and you're going to have to dig that out. But that's the nature of the game. When they do the cul-de-sacs, they go in and they do circles around. That snow has to go somewhere, and it usually goes on the two houses that are on the ends of the cul-de-sac. So that's just how it is. We don't have a place to put it and store it. So that's what's going to happen to that. Also, if you still have leaves and you haven't raked them up yet, try to get them raked up and don't rake them into the street. That just makes it more difficult for everybody. So there's a whole host of things to do.
Yeah.
Not only that you shouldn't be doing, but there's some things in case you have an emergency.
Right.
Now, the city does have an emergency fund. So if things like your furnace goes out or your water heater goes out and you didn't really budget for that, you can call the city and tell them you need some financial help, a deferred loan perhaps, and we can help you with some of that stuff.
Couple other notes to pass along here as we wrap up our update. You wanted to send out a special thank you to Broadway Village, and I think this is on the city's social media as well. They were involved in the coat drives as well. Is that correct?
Oh, that was so much fun. So they went to Broadway Village and they knew they were doing the coat drive. And I think they picked up, I want to say 40 coats.
Wow.
And so that adds, so we might get that traveling back.
That's right.
This year. At least I hope so. So
Hopefully
shout out to Broadway Village. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yes, and one note on human relations, just to mention there is some hiring going on for a administrative specialist. Tell us where we can find more information about that job opening.
So the administrative specialist is the one that sits right as you walk in the door. She or he is right there. What's nice about that is most of our administrative specialists have been promoted to other jobs within the city. It's a good way to get yourself involved with the city, and it's a full-time job, and of course it pays. So you can go onto the city website, go into .gov/jobs, and you'll have the application there. Fill that out, get that in. I believe you have until the end of the year to get that in, but the sooner the better.
Okay.
So we can just look at that. I do have another shout out from the police department.
Yeah.
They're doing something called a underwear drive. That's what I thought.
Right.
So what it is, there's a lot of kids in our high schools that can't afford some stuff. And so they're doing an underwear drive. They're looking for new, never worn underwear. So they're looking for men's shorts, panties for girls, bras, and socks. And you can drop those off at the police department. They'll get them to Cooper or Armstrong, wherever the need is. And it'll just be helping somebody with some stuff that maybe they can't afford. You can also drop off a gift card to Target or Walmart, or you can drop off cash. And the police department will use that money to buy the items that are needed for these kids.
Great idea. Final note to pass along, encouraging you to go to the city's website as well to look at the In Focus photo contest. Mayor, you need the public's vote. How can we vote on this?
I do. Well, they have the People's Choice, and that's what people can come in to City Hall, look at the pictures. They're really pretty. Or you can look at them on your computer at home, and you can also get a ballot at home off the after you look at the pictures is after that. Just vote once, please, not a bunch of times. And if you come into City Hall again, just vote once. So there's a bunch of folks that looked at these photos, the professionals like you, Dave, who looked at them and they picked out winners in different categories.
Yeah.
And now you have until the 31st of December to cast your ballot for the People's Choice Award. Sometimes what the people think is the best photo isn't necessarily what the judges think is the best photo. And we want people to be able to look at the photos and vote where they can.
Yeah, fun way to get involved. Also, speaking of getting involved, this is the guide that comes out on a regular basis. So this is the latest copy that has lots of information about things all ages can get involved in the city. And again, if you don't have this, Mayor, as always, I bet they can stop by City Hall as well and pick one of these up.
They can. You know, in the list of activities I sent to you, I put the page number for some of these activities. And so that page number reflects that particular brochure, not the one before. I do know that Park and Rec, believe it or not, is working on the spring-summer brochure.
Yep, I believe it. It takes a lot of time to get that planning done. Again, a lot of information available on the city's website, newhopemn.gov, if you want to find out more. And as the mayor mentions, some more event mentions to come up here in just a second, so stick with us. Mayor, thanks again for your time. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Hey, Dave. See you then. Bye-bye.
For more city stories, check out ccxmedia.org or find us on social media.